things of that nature, 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 things of that nature.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Pot of That Nature post-game show. I'm Curtis Wilkerson. He's Andrew Ellis. We're with Inside Arkansas. And the Razorbacks just won the Liberty Bowl 39-26 over Texas Tech. Sam Pittman gets a winning season under his belt. The Hogs finished 7-6 on the year. All that I asked for, all I wanted from this game was to be entertained. I just wanted to sit back and enjoy a football game. And I did. I was highly entertained from start to finish. Andrew, buddy, you were in Georgia. You've been a busy man driving all over the country, but you got to tune into the game. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. I just left the rehearsal dinner of one of my dear friends. Watched the Arkansas game, kept up with it the best I possibly could. And Curtis, I could not honestly have drawn it up any better. Like I am trying to think of how that could have gone better for the Arkansas Razorbacks. I always say, like, I'm not going to parade in the streets. We're not going to throw a victory celebration when the team gets back to Fayetteville. But like, I don't find what am I supposed to complain about after that? Honestly, could it have been a slightly more clean game on both sides of the ball from both teams? Probably. But given the circumstances of kind of what we expected going in and what this team has left, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I just didn't expect that to happen. I did not expect Arkansas to come out and look like they were about to just rout them for 4 quarters there early. Got a little hairy there for a second. My aunt was crazily texting me thinking they were about to blow it there, but it was never really that in doubt. But seriously, Curtis, like, we can get into the ins and outs and the intricacies of it. But frankly, like, just what I expected for this game, I honestly had pretty low expectations, not even just for Arkansas, but just in general. I just didn't think this was going to be a beautiful display of football. And I don't know if this necessarily qualifies as that. But again, given the circumstances, I really don't know how you can ask for that much more as an Arkansas fan. I wouldn't have held it against the Arkansas Razorbacks at all had they come out and just laid an egg. In fact, we even said that on yesterday's show. We were like, don't put any stock into this game. If they lose, it doesn't affect like Pittman's status, anything like that. Like, again, I wouldn't have held it against them if they mailed it in. The fact that they didn't, commend them for that.
Yeah, man, no doubt about it. It was they looked prepared. They really did. It was good to see. The game itself, it kind of took on. I saw somebody tweet out, and I wish I would have saved it because I can't remember who the hell it was. But early in that game, somebody said, this is giving off big time Oklahoma State vibes. And buddy, did that feel right about halftime? Because Arkansas, they had 3 drives. All of them went 3 plays each. So 9 total plays, 260 yards and 21 points. And it was like, this is insane. They're going to score 70 in this football game. And then they had a safety taken, and then they had a fumble, and then it's 21-19 before you can blink. It's like, what? I mean, really? Are they really going to do this tonight? No, they didn't. They damn near pitched a shutout in the second half. They did in the third quarter, took control, and yeah, they were the better team. Neither team was a reflection of what they've been the entire year. Arkansas had, we know it's been very well documented, a bunch of dudes out, new faces and new places. Okay. Same thing with Texas Tech, man. The quarterback was out. They had a true freshman in there. Their running back right before the game, it's revealed that he's not playing. Their top 2 receivers are out. But you know what? Arkansas was the team that was more prepared to play. They went out there and executed, did a good job, man. I thought we saw some pretty cool stuff. I was trying to track the new faces who started and played a lot in this game. Off the top, Rodney Hill got the nod at running back, although Braylon Russell got like 5,000 carries in this game. Edmondson got the start at center. Kobe Branham was at right guard. CJ Brown and Desmond James were in there at wide receiver. Shout out to Desmond James. How about this? How about for your first career catch, you go 94 yards for a touchdown. It's the longest completion in Razorback history, longest completion in Liberty Bowl history. Not bad. Not bad way to make a first impression. And then apparently on the play, he topped out at 22.3 miles per hour running.
I did see that. I mean, what a way to introduce yourself to college football. And for those, I know there's probably a lot of people who are sitting there watching the game. They're like, who the hell is Desmond James? That's a fair thing to say, considering he wasn't in the 2 deep for the entire season. Now, this is a guy who came in with Davion Dozier. I can't remember if he was a 4-star on 24/7 or not. He was like a fringe 4-star recruit, but I remember him being a guy they were excited about in recruiting. Obviously, redshirted last year as a freshman. You thought, okay, maybe there'd be a chance, but in the offseason, it just didn't seem like he took that step. Frankly, like I wouldn't have been surprised at all if he had just entered the portal. But yeah, I saw that tweet about him running 22 miles an hour. It's kind of crazy. I know, and a lot of people's reaction were, where the hell has he been all year? And I'm just gonna be honest with you, like that came out of nowhere. Like I'll be honest, he's always been a guy that was billed as like fast. I think Sam Pittman even did the whole soliloquy where he's like, he's got that track speed, but we want to see that track speed on the field. We want to see him play fast. Man, what a showing. That's not one that I mean, again, talking about things I didn't expect, did not have that one on my bingo card. Shout out to JC Hoops. I know he hates that.
I know.
People saying having it on their bingo card because who the hell has a bingo card? But yeah, shout out to Desmond James. CJ Brown also, who ended up with 4 receptions, 50 yards in this game. He was another young guy that maybe it was the young guy that we all kind of looked to as like, who's going to step up for Arkansas? Oh, it needs to be CJ Brown. Curtis, if I could have drawn up a stat line, I think I said it on the show the other day, like 3 or 4 catches. 4 catches for 50 yards. That's like about what I wanted out of CJ Brown. Had a huge play there. I think it was like a 30-yard completion or something like that. That was good to see. I liked that. And honestly, regardless of what these guys did in the game, which obviously Desmond James made a lot of plays, and I mean, looked awesome out there. And some of these guys on the D line, I think it was just cool to see them get out there, get that experience, and who knows what happened in these bowl practices. Maybe some of those guys emerged and you feel a little bit differently about them. It definitely seems like that's the case with Desmond James, because it's not like Arkansas was like teetering on the brink of should we play him, should we not. He wasn't in the mix at all. Mm-hmm. And so I know there's a lot of people that are going to do the game of, well, he should have been playing all year. It really wasn't up for discussion. Like he wasn't even anywhere close to the conversation. And so I think it's cool to see these guys get out there and play. I didn't expect it to be in what almost ended up being a blowout win for Arkansas. But again, I just think there's a lot you can be happy about if you're an Arkansas Razorback fan. And almost everybody who made plays in this game has a chance to be on the roster next year. I mean, we're talking about the young guys, but even the guys like the Marquise Robinsons, the linebackers played pretty well. Anton Junkaj making sacks. Like,
Hogs.
Again, like, are we going to sit here and like try and turn this into, hey, Arkansas is now loaded at D-line and receiver?
Hell
no. But I think like as you're going into the spring, maybe gives this coaching staff a little bit something to evaluate of like, hey, we've brought in some pieces. We hope those guys are good, but we got some guys on our roster that look like they are taking steps forward and want to help.
Yeah. A couple things that made me happy. Tyrell Reed, man, shout out to him. First reception as a Razorback, 47 yards for a touchdown. He gets 1 carry. Should have had more. I'm sorry. Listen, I'm going to get this out of the way now. The fact that Braylon Russell got 20 carries in this game and Rodney Hill and Tyrell Reed combined for 9 carries, I think is bullshit personally. But hey, whatever. Okay, fine. But I'm really glad that Rodney Hill had the big moment there where he had the 70-yard run early in the game. Now he was putting on the turf a little bit too much, so they can't escape those fumble allegations. But for Tyrell Reed to have that big play and get a touchdown, I thought that was really cool, man. So I was happy to see that. Isaac Tesla, guy who's not going to be here next year, but for him to have, some moments there, 3 receptions, 107 yards, had some big plays. That was cool to see.
The best touchdown celebration ever.
Yeah. The headstand is just, he's an athlete with great balance. I mean, what can you say?
All right, Curtis, talk to me, because I was watching this part on my phone and I didn't have audio. So I couldn't hear what the announcers were saying. And I didn't really get a great look at the replay. I was like supposed to be participating in events at this point. I thought it was a touchdown and went like 5 minutes of my life thinking Arkansas scored a touchdown there. Tesla stepped out of bounds. Was that the right call?
Yeah, he left his feet and he got hit, and his foot was out of bounds about a yard short before he got across. It was a good call.
I'll accept it. I'll leave my letter. I will not send out the letter that I had sent to the officiating group.
And then Braylon Russell was the touchdown bulcher the next play. So there you go. But at any rate, and then Taylon Green, and he finishes his game with what did he have? 422 yards or something out of total offense, 341 through the air, 15 carries for 81 yards on the ground. He had 3 touchdowns, didn't turn it over. He did take the safety. That was not on him. For if people were complaining about that, that was not on him.
Oh, and they were.
I know. And so I thought he was really good in this game. I thought he was the best player on the field, honestly, in terms of just being a sheer athlete. It looked like when Arkansas was playing UAPB and some of these other teams where they just couldn't do anything with him when he was on the move. Thought he looked good. 11 of 21, so only 52% completions. But what you got to consider there is he just had all new guys out there. Really no chemistry with anybody out there who really played outside of Isaac Tesla. That factors in to that stuff a little bit. So I thought he was really good. He needed a strong performance going into the offseason, and he got it. Does that mean all of a sudden I'm ready to anoint him as a top 3 quarterback in the SEC next year? No, of course not. People were complaining, saying, or downplaying it, saying, whatever, Texas Tech's defense sucks. Yes, Texas Tech's defense does suck. It sucked all year. It sucked tonight. The alternative was that Taylor Green just didn't play well against a bad defense. Thought he played great. Exactly what he was supposed to do. He went out there and did it.
I mean, again, I spoke about how if the team had just come out there and really stunk tonight, I wouldn't have held it too much against them, especially considering that most of these guys out there probably you don't have penciled in as starters for next year. Taylor Green is a guy that, again, had he just, gotten sacked 8 times, not really made a ton of plays, we would have immediately said, well, I mean, he had a makeshift offensive line, bunch of freshmen, a receiver. He had a built-in excuse, like you said. The alternative could have been him sucking, even against a bad defense. And so, yeah, it was cool to see Taylor go out there. We spoke about him yesterday, and I made the case that if you're trying to convince yourself that Arkansas is going to take a noticeable step forward next year, that route has to go through Taylor Green. You have to count on him being a much better version of himself. I don't know if tonight is, like you said, I don't know if it's proof that he is going to be that, but I think it gives you a few more glimpses at kind of what his capabilities can be, the kind of playmaker he can be. And right before we went live, Curtis, I was saying to you, man, if you're a defense playing against Taylor Green and you're like, you're not on your P's and Q's, like you have a mishap somewhere, he will rip you apart. Like that is a dude that is like, got to be a little bit terrifying for opposing offensive coordinators to go up against. Obviously, the SEC has a lot of very good defensive players, a lot of good defensive coordinators who have adequately prepared for Taylor Green. I'm not saying he's unstoppable, but I'm just saying, like, I think what we saw against Mississippi State, because that was another really bad defense he faced. A few others there, Oklahoma State kind of comes to mind. We've seen, like, when you face a defense that has some holes, Taylor can really make you look stupid. And I mean, he did it with a ragtag group of guys. I also spoke about KJ's Liberty Bowl performance a couple years ago and how impressed I was with KJ in that game when he was throwing to all these freshmen and Harper Cole and had his starting running back out and a couple O linemen out. And he went out there and like really just carried Arkansas to a win in the Liberty Bowl in 2022. I felt like that's what Taylor did tonight. And I know that a lot of fans, he's not their favorite player and they're not super thrilled about the prospect of him being their quarterback next year. But this game had to give you a little bit of confidence, even against a bad defense, that, hey, sometimes when the circumstances aren't ideal, Taylor can just go out there and make shit happen. And that's what he did tonight.
Yeah, no doubt. I really felt like for a while there, after they got the 21 points right away, there was a period of time where it was like, what are they like? Why are they playing with their food right now? Because it felt like I was watching Arkansas basketball, who's notorious for doing that. All they really had to do was let Taylor get out on the move, man. If he was out of the pocket, if he was using his legs and he could still throw it out there, they had absolutely nothing for him. And it was good to see. I got to tell you, I really thought, and Arkansas, like this game, outside of, late in the second quarter, it never felt in doubt. I thought we were looking at a real belt to ass situation there early on. I was like, oh, I think this might get ugly. So like, whatever, credit to Texas Tech for making it interesting. And making it entertaining. That's what I wanted. I wanted it to be a competitive game as opposed to just kind of a snoozer in the second half. So that was cool. But yes, Xavier Story, a lot of people are talking about his performance. He had some really bad missed tackles in this game. Okay, so like I'm not going to let him off the hook for that. But he also made some really, really good plays. He's so fast. I mean, that dude moves side to side really, really well. Led the team with 10 tackles. Shout out to Miguel Mitchell, who just what an interesting season for him. Like he just was hurt for a while and then he just wasn't playing. And then all of a sudden he's starting and then they wanted to redshirt him. And so they didn't play him the last game of the year or whatever. And then he kind of balls out in the bowl. He had 8 tackles, had the interception. I thought he was going to take it to the crib for a minute there. So that was good to see. Steven Dix moving around well. Shout out to Hudson Clark. His last game as a Razorback had 6 tackles, made some open field tackles, did not get burnt down the field. Like it was a nice little end to what I would call an era for Hudson Clark. Okay.
It was an era that lasted a long time. And yeah, we've spoken a lot about the young guys and the guys who, maybe could contribute next year and showed some flashes. But it definitely is cool. Like when you talk about a bowl game and what it means, and I know we're pumping some sunshine. We're excited about the game. Everyone should be. Like that game went well. It went better than we thought. Be happy for a night. We'll talk about the roster tomorrow. We'll figure out if this team has a chance next year, but just enjoy the night. Enjoy tonight's performance from Arkansas. But it really does. When we talk about what a bowl game means to guys like that, like this, it really is something, like Jaden Johnson played his last game as a Razorback. Hudson Clark played his last game as a Razorback. Like Isaac TeSlaa played his last game. That means something. It really does.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people, Isaac TeSlaa is going to be like their great what if, because I know everybody had a very, very high opinion of him. And it was just cool to see him go out there, and he was having fun, man. I mean, you see a celebration standing on his head. That's pretty awesome. And so, we thank those guys for their service. And man, I just really I'm kind of buzzing, Curtis. I didn't expect to be buzzing after this game, but like this is one of those, like, I just had fun, and I think that's what a lot of people wanted. That's what bowl season is for. And again, when we start talking about next year's roster, that buzz will go away real quick. But just for tonight, the Hogs for 4 hours, Curtis, the best team in the country. Best team in the country tonight, Curtis.
There we go. And you were 100% buzzing just because of the game itself. I already know that. 559 yards.
I'm not under the influence right now. I want to make that very clear. I see some people chirping in the chat. I am not under the influence.
I'll tell you this right now. If I was at a rehearsal dinner, I would have been under the influence of alcohol. I just watched this football game from my house. I drank 2 beers watching the game. Okay, so I'm worse off than you, maybe.
My drinks were far away. Let's just be clear. Like it was a few hours ago. I had a couple. It was fun.
Let's get into the chat and see what people got going on here. It's a lively chat, which I appreciate. Yeah. It's like I said on Inside Arkansas Live. It's a pick your poison situation here, because it's Friday night. You ain't got nowhere to be in the morning, so you should be rocking with us. But at the same time, it's Friday night. So like if people are out on Dixon or wherever they go out to enjoy their Friday evenings and they're out here, I wouldn't hate them for that either. But this is a nice turnout, man. I'm happy about it.
You think all 37,000 at the game went out to Beal?
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's just no doubt in my mind that was the case. This is Caden Jowers. He said must have been those announcers' first time calling a game. They struggled a little bit. It was not the A team, and it wouldn't be a Liberty Bowl without some kind of issues. And yeah, the audio was a problem at times. I know you weren't able to listen to the broadcast the entire time, but at several points throughout the game, it just disappeared. The audio just went away. And then for one stretch, I think it was late in the second quarter, there was like 4 plays where I'm pretty sure we were listening to the Texas Tech radio broadcast out of nowhere. And I was like, what in the world is going on? The one dude had a really hard time, which it was a crazy play, but he was like, and that's intercepted. It's incomplete. He caught it. It's like he went through every possible scenario on a bang bang play. It went through Singletary's hands, and then the dude wound up catching. It was a hell of a play, but it was not their best work in this game. They had a really hard time getting Xavier Sorey out of their mouths. But what are you gonna do? Nobody's ever happy with the announcers. It's very rare that I ever really say anything about it, but in this one, I was like, good God, like, come on, what are we doing?
That is a good point. No one's ever been like, man, that was a well-called game.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. Boogie Flans Burner says, how dare that game get me excited for next year? That's okay. You needed that. Because, and let's be honest here, if the roles were reversed and Arkansas looked like crap, even though we've been saying the entire time, like, don't read much into this result either way, because both of these teams are shells of themselves. It's not really reflective. And, but if Arkansas would have gotten beat by 2 scores, the pitchforks would have been out. We already know that. Now we don't have to deal with that, man. Like, there's no way you can't have at least semi-positive vibes after this game. So I'm in agreement, man. I think it's a good thing for sure.
I mean, at least for the freaking weekend. It's post-Christmas, you don't have to really go back to reality until Monday. Enjoy this weekend.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. Like, just take it for what it is. We say that a lot. Like, just accept it for what it is. We've been saying that with all the transfers. Accept this game for what it is. A fun performance. One thing I'll add, by the way, because I meant to say it earlier, I know a lot of people are going to point to Texas Tech and be like, they suck and worse defense and blah, blah, blah. This is an 8-4 team. I'm not saying that Arkansas played the Goon Squad or anything, but they're a program that seems to be on a pretty upward trajectory. Like the Texas Tech didn't have a like wheels coming off, like this program is in shambles type of vibe to them.
Yeah.
Even though they had some play, obviously had a lot of key guys out. Arkansas did as well. Again, like it really would not have surprised. I didn't think Arkansas was going to win, frankly.
They did beat both teams that were in the Big 12 championship.
Yeah.
In Arizona State and Iowa State. And again, like, yeah, they're missing some very important players, but a bulk of those guys who were playing were out there for those games, just like, Arkansas had guys who were out there when they beat Tennessee. Yeah, it is not a bad program. I do think there are levels to this between the SEC and the Big 12. John actually pulled a really good stat on the show earlier today. I don't know if you were listening at the time, but he was talking about, was it their pass defense, total defense? I can't remember, but just the difference in Arkansas being 15th in the SEC. I think it was pass defense. And then Texas Tech being 15th in the Big 12, but then Arkansas is 70th nationally and Texas Tech is 125th. It's like it's the difference in 50 spots being in the same place in your league, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, man, I mean, it was a good performance, good game. Like Hayden says, it was just fun and entertaining. It really was. I enjoyed it. It was a good time. Some actual football questions. Nicholas Wiles says, do we feel better about the wide receiver room after tonight? I don't. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. I mean, if you go and look at it, well, CJ Brown had 4 for 50. Okay. Like, does that automatically make me feel like, oh yeah, this dude, like he's ready to rock, man. He's in there next year. No, not necessarily. I was happy to see him play well. Desmond James out of nowhere. That was very encouraging to see that. 3 catches, 137 yards, and a touchdown. Cool. So, like, is he on my radar now for spring ball and everything? Absolutely. But is this one game in the Liberty Bowl against Texas Tech got me going, shit, get it, Omega who? No, not at all. I don't feel that way. And then Tesla was the only other receiver that caught a pass. So like I don't know that I feel better about it. But there's at least another name or two that might be on my radar, I think.
Y'all's King Monte Harrison did not deliver on the goods that were promised to me.
I don't know,
but I will say, yeah, I don't know if he did either. I know everybody's been really waiting on that. There was somebody yesterday that was like, "Why are y'all not talking about Monte Harrison for a contributor receiver next year?" I'm like, well, but I will say, to answer the question, I will say yes, but to a very, very, very clear and certain extent, which is like very incremental. Like I this morning, the idea of Desmond James playing snaps at the University of Arkansas next year was just not something that had crossed my mind. I'm not 100% sure he's going to be like a fixture in what they do, but it's at least something I can consider that could possibly happen. But no, I agree with your sentiment that like, I don't know if this is the performance that is going to be like, and it was a great performance. It was a great performance, but I don't know if it's one that like changes the way I view the position group. I'm not even sure like any of these guys that played today on the offensive side of the ball are going to play a ton next year, except for Braylon Russell and Taylor Green, of course.
Yeah, of course. Hayden says, where's Desmond James been all year? And we talked about it, like, good question, but he was very much buried on the depth chart. And, we say what we want about the coaching staff or whatever. I know people are still up in arms about Pittman and decision-making and all that, but like, there was a reason why he wasn't out there on the field. Sometimes there's just something to be said about a guy getting an opportunity. Sometimes you just need an opportunity and you go out there and make plays. And he was able to go out there and do that. So, at the very least, to kind of piggyback off the last question there, it gives the staff something to think about. They have a reason now to look at him maybe a little bit closer, moving forward here. And sometimes that's all you need, man. Get an opportunity, go out there and make some plays. So why not? Yeah. Ryan McDaniel, our good friend, didn't ask about the defensive line. He says, inside Arkansas, thanks to you guys for great Hogs football coverage all season. I expect Andrew to be all in on baseball now. So like there are no breaks here. It's not like, hey, enjoy your weekend and we'll get back after it next week. No, get baseball, man. What are you doing? No, thank you for real. We appreciate it. Our first season of football covering it like this together. We've been on the beat covering Arkansas football for several years now, but doing it with Inside Arkansas, this is a first. And it's been a really good time.
I would also say, which I agree. I know. I thank you, Ryan, for that as well. I know he's been very loyal and very tapped in.
Oh yeah.
I was very close, Curtis, to recording a bombastic while I was driving, but the mic situation, it just would have sounded so bad that I didn't do it.
Right.
But I do also just want to clarify me and you said it there. We've been covering football for a while. This is just our first year doing it. I think you could make an argument. We wrote more football articles the previous 3 years than anyone on the beat.
I wrote so many football
I
articles.
wrote a lot of football articles
years,
for people to be like, oh, well, it's nice that y'all are now covering football. It's like, no, we've been covering football. We just did it in a way that no one read it before.
Exactly. Yeah. I've got a ton of respect for everyone who writes, because we've done it. Like, we've been in those trenches doing, embracing that grind. I so much prefer talking about it. I so much prefer talking about it than writing about it, man. So
you don't want to do the keys to victory?
No.
5 questions answered right now.
Oh God, no. There's nothing worse than finishing a game, getting a story out, doing the press conference, transcribing all the quotes, writing another story, and then like getting home and it's 3:00 in the morning. You got to do the five burning questions answered and the keys to victory reviewed. Brutal times, but it was all for a good cause. Vids for me, he says, for real though, if we beat Oklahoma State and don't get smashed by Ole Miss, would most fans view this season as a success?
Yeah.
If my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle. Hey, if Arkansas didn't figure it out at the end of the game against UAB and they lost that one, would fans view it differently? No, I get what you're saying. The Oklahoma State game, it's revisionist history now, but I think especially you, Andrew, can take a little bit of a victory lap on it, like pat yourself on the back, because at the time when people were doing whatever, this is a playoff team, they're going to win the Big 12 championship, and you were very much like, no, this is a bad loss. It's bad the way it happened. It's not going to age well. You were all over it.
Well, and also by the way, at the time, I certainly didn't think Oklahoma State was going to go 3-9 or whatever the hell they ended up doing. It was more just to me about the fact that they should have won the game. Yeah. It's like, regardless of how good either team is, when you play a game and it's very clear you lost to a team you were better than, that should never be acceptable. I love Vince for me, by the way. He's like really one of my favorite commenters, like just great consistently solid guy. But I do have to make fun of him because he did the if thing where it's like, hey, if we change the circumstances, would we feel differently? It's like, yeah, probably.
Yeah, I would.
But no, seriously, I mean, like, I think that's what made some of these losses so frustrating, is it was right there. And I don't know if tonight's game is a time to really do that. But yeah, I definitely think I would view it differently had they not lost the most inexcusable loss of the last 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, keep the beat down from Ole Miss. Just beat the Oklahoma State. Just wind up winning that game, and I would feel different about this year personally, and I'm sure a lot of fans would too. But yeah, I mean, there's some truth to that, and it just goes back to those little things, that have just cost them football games over the years. And that's why people get frustrated and pissed off. And then you have a 7-6 season where, you look at it and, well, you went from 4-8 to 7-6, you had a winning season, got back to a bowl, won it. And there's just still that level of consternation. It's the way that some of these things have happened that irritates people. I get it. SCT says really excited for Taylor Green next year.
They're going to yell at you, buddy. They're going to yell at you, SCT.
Listen, man, I'm very intrigued to see how it goes. And here's what I'll say. We said it when they got Taylor Green. We said it during spring ball. We said it during fall camp. You just got to understand what you have now. And do I think that Taylor Green will be an improved quarterback next year at Arkansas in the system for another year? Yes, I do. But do I think he's all of a sudden going to be Lamar Jackson? No, I don't. Do I think he is all of a sudden going to be super accurate? No, I don't. Do I think he's going to be all of a sudden so much better at reading defenses and not taking sacks or making bonehead turn? No, I don't. Because he's like 10 years into his college football career. At some point, you can make incremental improvements, but you still are pretty much a finished product at this point. I think he's going to be better, but I don't think there's going to be this crazy, massive leap. Like, there's still going to be frustrations with people. I guarantee you.
I swear I'm not going to rant too long, Curtis. But I did want to just piggyback off what you said. A big part of it is, like you said, understanding what he is. And I think that's really what when you're envisioning for next year, that's what Bobby Petrino has to do. And for Arkansas fans, here's what I'd tell you. Just embrace him for what he is, like you said, but also, like, you don't have any other choice. Like, y'all did the whole thing all year where it's like, oh man, y'all pretended Malachi Singleton was like a generational talent just for the hell of it. Y'all are gonna feel so stupid about that in like 3 years. Where you're gonna be like, why were we doing that? I don't know if Taylor's gonna be great. I don't know if he's gonna be good. He might even end up being below average. But like that, he's what you got, and he wants to be your quarterback. He chose to be there. He embraces the hog. Embrace him. And maybe he'll be good, maybe he won't, but it's like wasting time doing the whole like, well, I mean, if only will they go get Jackson Arnold? Will they? Well, can we KJ Jackson? It's like, dude, Taylor Green's the quarterback.
Yep.
He is what he is. He's pretty fun to watch, honestly. Yeah. Embrace him. Take your medicine and shut up.
Yeah, exactly. He's the guy. QB1. There is no controversy going into this next. Not with KJ Jackson. Not with Nico's brother. He's your guy. If he's
for some reason, when you said there is no controversy, you said it in the kind of cadence that Cal did when he said, "Just met with the team. There is no team." I just looked into the quarterback controversy. There is no quarterback controversy.
That's exactly right. Kevin says, you better run Braylon Russell till the tires fall off. Still mad about the portal BS he did. They did run him until the tires fell, and they ran him into brick walls, apparently. I mean, 20 carries in this game for 50 yards, 2.5 a carry. And there was one point where I looked up and he was like 17 carries for 23 yards. Like his last couple carries there, he popped off some decent yardage. I just wonder if he was in game shape. Like he's kind of been in and out of the portal. He missed 2/3 of the practices leading up to the bowl. So I don't know. And it's I get it. There's kind of a delicate balance there because you obviously want and need him next year. Like he came back and you're trying to, like Sam Pittman's not trying to hold a grudge about that. And they want to just, I think, probably move on from it and just get prepared for next year. So you want to give him the ball, show him some carries, show that you're committed to him. He's committed to you. I understand all those things, but I said it earlier, I'm still surprised that, Rodney Hill and Tyrell Reed just stayed committed, went through everything. They were RB1, RB2, all through these bowl practices, got talked up, hyped up. They get 9 carries combined, and then Braylon totes it 20 times after everything that went down. I'm not saying they should have suspended Braylon or what, no, none of that, but at least an even split. Maybe, I don't know, man. It just seemed like a lot to me, and they were forcing it late.
Justice for Juju.
And then Juju Pope doesn't get a carry. What are we doing here? Come on now. Vids from me, this is good. He said, take Joey McGuire off our coaching hot board. Can't have people that lose to Sam Pittman on the list. Fun while it lasted, though. It just
no Lane Kiffin on your list. I mean, hey, Sam Pittman's beat some good coaches. Steve Sarkisian, we can't.
I was about to go through it. Yeah, Josh Heupel. I mean, what do you?
Yeah, shit.
Oh man, but it is going to be really funny at whatever point, whether Sam Pittman gets fired or he chooses to retire, whether it's at the end of next year or 5 years down the road. I can't wait for the Joey McGuire talk because he's going to be up there because buddy. It's not, anytime there's a connection to Arkansas with anybody, like I had lunch one time in Conway. Oh yeah, he's definitely going to be the Razorback coach. No, this dude, you talk about loving the hog, embracing the hog. Joey McGuire is all about it. If I was a Texas Tech fan, I'd be pissed off and irritated about
Curtis, I have a theory.
Okay.
I don't think Joey McGuire gives a shit. I think I think he's a panderer. I think he's taken a page out of the Josh Pate playbook. And he knows how to jerk the fans, the Razorback. He knows what they like to hear. Because I know there's a lot of media members and people out there, national guys, that realize how crazy Arkansas's fan base is, and they want to be on the right side. They don't want to anger that fan base. And that's a smart decision. I think he was just pleasuring them a little bit.
I heard he's wearing his plastic hog helmet at the post-game press conference right now.
I'm sure he's like, you know what? Good win for our boys.
Kevin said Sam Pittman should bite a Tech tortilla. That was like the coolest thing they did the entire game. I'd forgotten about it in the opening kickoff, and they throw like 300 tortillas out there on the field. And I was like, oh yeah, they do this. It makes me think back to Travis Hunter sticking them down his pants at the game. But I would, man, like you never know where those things have been or whatever, but I probably would have grabbed one and taken a bite or something, whether it was Pittman or Taylor Green or anybody. It would have been pretty funny, but I don't know how that tradition got started. I know there's a hockey team. I think it's Nashville Predators. They throw like catfish on the ice when a certain thing happens. That's kind of weird. And I know the hat trick thing they do, but the tortillas, it's interesting. It's a little bit different. Got a super chat here from Alex. Man. Yeah, appreciate you. Alex is really encouraging to see Desmond James and CJ Brown step up, show some of what can be there for next season. At least you've seen those guys now.
Yeah.
I mean, my goodness, because that was one of the biggest things is like anyone who had produced anything was out of here from that position. And the only reason people knew CJ Brown's name was because of the fumble in the Texas game. So for him to, like you said, make a couple grabs, it's like, okay, so now we understand why they were maybe talking him up a little bit prematurely during camp and everything about a guy who could maybe rise into the ranks early. There's some talent there, and good to see for Desmond James. I mean, he's been around for a minute. Desmond James has, and so for him to get in there and make some plays, it's good to see. Oh yeah, I want to get to this from Tucker on Twitter. Thank you, Tucker. He says, thoughts on the O-line. Here's what I'll say. It's hard watching a full football game to really like hone in on specific offensive line stuff. But at the end of the game, Talon got sacked a couple times. Now the safety was, there was a whiff block by a running back that kind of led to some of that. But for the most part, I thought they held up okay. You know what I didn't notice? I didn't notice a bunch of bad snaps from Edmondson. And if you're not noticing a bunch of bad snaps, that means they were, for the most part, pretty good. Kobe Branham did have a false start. He jumped one time late in the game. But for the most part, I didn't notice anything real bad with those guys. So chances are they were just fine, especially for just kind of being a ragtag group out there, that was just kind of thrown together in these 11 bowl practices. I was okay with it.
I thought they did. I thought they, given the circumstances, hard to really complain too much. I would also give Bobby a lot of credit.
Yes.
Obviously he knew what he had working going into the game. He knew what he was working with. I thought he did a good job working with those said circumstances. And, couple mistakes here and there. That's natural. They didn't get like a massive push in the run game at any point, but that was kind of to be expected. I don't have hardly any complaint. I was actually pretty pleased with the unit.
Yeah, they did a pretty nice job. James says, contrary to what all experts said, they played well. James, it hurts my feelings that you don't consider me an expert because I picked Arkansas to win today. It's crazy, man. It hurts.
And also, feelings. I feel like we've gone 37 minutes on this shit, and we've done nothing but say that they played well. Like, what the hell? What do you want us to do? Like, you want us to crucify ourselves in the Macon, Georgia hotel I'm staying in? Like, what do you want me to do?
I mean, I don't know, man. William Richards. Appreciate that super chat, buddy. Thank you.
Yeah.
How about those Razorbacks? Blue Pig Suey. That's the exact reaction that you should have, William. And you were picking Arkansas the last couple of days. I think today you might have said Hogs by a touchdown. They win by 2 scores. They even exceeded your expectations. Yeah. I guess you're not an expert either, man. What's going on? No, seriously, appreciate it.
Hey, you know who is an expert? I forget. I think I might have started his comment. There was somebody the other day who it was Maji. He did tell us they were going to win, and he did also cite the defense. He was like, I don't care what Arkansas has. That Tech defense sucks. And I actually didn't buy that. Like, I knew the Tech defense sucked, but I was like, I still just don't think Arkansas is going to be able to go out there and score 40. But, I tip my I'm not wearing a cap today for the first time in a long time, but
yes, people have been commenting on Hatless Andrew. I'm becoming more and more accustomed to Hatless Andrew. Like, we've been out off camera a handful of times where you have not had a hat on, and you look great, man. It's a nice flow.
Funerals and weddings, I gotta go hatless.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. It's customary to not have the hat on in certain situations. Jeff Bergen says no pass plays to the tight end position. Well, I was told Bobby doesn't give a damn about the tight end position, and so it doesn't matter if they replace Luke Has. So go ahead and prepare yourself for that. And nothing from Easter at wide receiver. He's another one that I forgot about.
They didn't rotate at receiver.
I don't know.
They didn't mix in guys at all.
I don't know that him or Monte Harrison got in. They very well may have, and they just weren't targeted. I wasn't, I guess, paying attention to exactly who was on the field every single play. So I'm not sure about that. We were talking about it before we got started, Andrew, like Bradley Shaw at linebacker. I don't remember seeing him too much in there. Kavion Henderson, I'm not sure how much he was out there. And then the only reason I knew Selman Bridges got in is because he got beat for a touchdown there at the very end, trying to tackle a guy high and got left in the dust there. But it's like it would have been cool if there were a handful of other guys maybe who got some more runs, some of the younger guys. But I would only be irritated about it if they lost the game. Like if they wound up losing this game and the score was flipped, I'd have been like you lost. Why not play those guys? What the hell? They won by 2 scores. They played the right players. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, Caleb, this is funny. I saw a lot of people doing this thing on Twitter. It's like Tasman James reportedly transferring to Ole Miss after tonight's game. I saw a lot of people like, oh yeah, this is great. Guys that nobody's ever heard of are padding their stats to hit the portal tomorrow. I really hope none of that happens. I don't think it's going to happen with Bads or any of these guys, but that would suck. That would be unfortunate. Michelle, my wife, she says, woo pig. It is 10:20 at night here where I am. It is, I guess, 11:20 at night where you are. Is that right?
An hour later? I thought you were talking about Michelle. I'm like, I don't know how you got that mad. Yes,
she is waking up, starting her Saturday morning in Italy right now is what she's doing. So kudos to her. She called me at like, it was like 3:00 in the afternoon. I was talking to her and she was like, okay, good night. I was just calling to say good night. And that's a weird deal. It almost gives me jet lag because she's so far ahead of what we got going. It's 7 hours difference where she's at. So Marcus, appreciate the super chat. He says, would Arkansas win the Big 12?
They'd compete for it. Although, I mean, you did lose to the worst team in the Big 12.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would take this argument and run with it had they not lost to Oklahoma State, who didn't win a Big 12 game. So from Gold, another super chat. Thank you guys. Honestly, really appreciate all the appreciate everybody, like we said earlier, who's just tuned in with us on a Friday night, talking a little ball, excited about a football game. The super chats too. It's really cool. Thank you guys. Gold says, fun fact, state of Arkansas went 2 for 2 in bowl games. We got a showdown next year.
I mean, from now. Did Memphis win their bowl game?
I don't know.
I feel like I remember watching it, but I don't remember. Yeah. But yeah, I lost money on both of the Arkansas bowl games. So shout out to me.
I did not expect Arkansas State to win that game because, I mean, like we were talking about it, Bowling Green played Penn State and Texas A&M within a score this year. So I was thinking, yeah, they'll go take care of business against the Red Wolves. No, they did not. So that'll be an interesting – that's just going to be a stressful game for Arkansas, man. It's like ASU's got nothing to lose and Sam Pittman's got everything to lose, man. So pressure's on him. Hopefully Arkansas just no drama takes care of business. We'll see if it happens. We'll talk about that plenty. Chef Boy Ali, our man. My goodness. Thank you. Unnecessary, but thank you so much. He says, happy holidays, boys, and go Hogs. We all appreciate the coverage through all the highs and lows this season. Thank you. Appreciate that. And it's just been a blast, man. We've really enjoyed it. And honestly, when the team has stunk, it's difficult for us sometimes too, because we really do try to be just realistic about what's going on. And we try to react fairly to what's going on. So I know sometimes people are like, oh man, you guys are negative or whatever. Well, when things are negative and things suck, like we are going to call it how we see it. And so like, I understand that perception sometimes, but then we do try to balance it out when things are cool, like they are tonight. And we're pretty stoked about it and pretty happy about it. So it's been a crazy balancing act, and we appreciate everybody that's been rocking with us for sure. So thank you.
I appreciate that a lot as well. We love Chef Boy Ali, and yeah, we got to call balls and strikes, Curtis. We got to call balls and strikes, and tonight, hey,
there you go. Just a slightly different shade, and you'd almost be wearing the jacket right now. You know, home plate ump.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah. Brian Mott, appreciate you again. Thank you so much. He says, Arkansas Razorback football brought to you by George Dickel Whiskey, Advil, and Norvask. Cheers, my friends. Good Lord. Okay. There you go.
That's a combo.
George Dickel Whiskey. I have to look into that. I don't know if that's some highfalutin stuff. I've been seeing a lot of TikToks about Jepson's Malort, which I don't know what that is, but apparently it's the worst tasting liquor you can possibly have. It's like, you say it, then you take a shot, and you're supposed to say, "Can I have another?" without making a face or gagging, and most people can't do it. So I don't know why I brought that up, but I saw it like 10 times last night when I was doom scrolling. So there you go. Okay, let's see. Hey, is that John Neighbors?
Oh, John Neighbors been giving us some money.
There we go. John Neighbors. Hey, thanks, buddy. John Neighbors attended this game, by the way. And that's why he's not on here, because he's doing like the full day road trip thing. He left this morning, went to Little Rock. We did the show. He went to Memphis, and now he's driving back. So safe travels to you, buddy. But he's right. 7-6 is better than 6-7, and a win is a win. these are all facts.
Objective, yes.
Yeah, these are all facts. But it is true. Like it feels different. Like you can do the winning season and everything. And like Sam Pittman was talking about the momentum that you have going in the off season. I don't know how much I buy all of that when the portal's almost done already, but you feel a little bit better going into it at, off of a win. And it just leaves a better taste in your mouth than another stupid loss.
I mean, it can't hurt, right?
Yes.
Like nobody in February is gonna be like, we should not have won that damn bowl game.
Yeah, exactly. Just a handful more, and then we'll get out of here.
Before we do that, Curtis, is our friendship over? You specified before we did this that if we reached a certain point that our friendship would be over.
Yeah.
I have you on record.
You do have me on record for saying that. It's not over yet.
That's what I was trying to get you on record, admitting that our friendship is not over.
Yeah.
If you guys notice some bad vibes between me and Curtis down the stretch, just know he said publicly that our friendship is we're still good.
Yeah. I just I'm very much looking forward to the rest of my night, which it involves the Wingstop that I ordered earlier that I haven't ate yet. I just can't stop thinking about it. I smell it in the kitchen. Oh, buddy. Well,
dude, as soon as we get done with this, I'm going down to the rooftop bar. And I know I said down to the rooftop bar. It's on the 6th floor. I'm on the 10th. I don't know if that's really a rooftop, but it's a bar that is elevated. So looking forward to that.
Kevin says, I was scared Pittman was going to get ran into on a play going out of bounds. I was wondering about that the entire time leading up to the game. But he seemed like he was doing all right. So good for him.
Cane, they said he was looking like a...
Well, I was just going to say whether he was moving around well or not. I always worry about those guys. Like, I mean, Bobby Petrino got taken out at one point on the sidelines this year. I remember, was it a football coach? Well, I know a couple years ago, there was a basketball coach, the Hunter dude who tore his Achilles celebrating on the sidelines, but there was a basketball coach that was taken out recently on the sidelines and he blew out his freaking knee. And so that's, it's scary. And then football guys are bigger and in pads. So that's it's always something that you wonder about, but I did not see any even close calls for him. He was probably smart enough to stay the hell out of the way too, I would imagine. Okay, vids from me. I'll play real quick. He says, fellas, can we get a way too early win-loss prediction for next year without knowing what the end result's going to be with this roster?
What an asshole. Why would he do that?
5-7.
That was exactly what I was going to say. It was 5-7.
And they could add some, I mean, I think they got like 5 more spots that they want to fill. And if you fill them with the right pieces, then I could change my mind a little bit. But, as of right now, I still think there's some pretty significant holes that they need to fill. And either way, it's all going to be about your hits and misses in the portal with your evaluation. Some guys are going to have to really step up and do things, quite frankly, that they haven't done over the course of their careers. And for you to have the type of season you want to. And the reason I say it right now mainly is because it's the exact same schedule except flipped. So you got a lot of really tough games on the road, and you got Notre Dame, Memphis. Like, it's a tougher non-conference too. Schedule's a bear, man.
Everyone's better in the SEC.
Yeah.
Maybe Arkansas will be better, but they're going to have to be a lot better. So I'll go 5-7 for now. Maybe I'll change my mind. And while we're talking about next year's schedule, I do want to point out, because this guy says 7-6, most called 4 or 5 wins. One Andrew Ellis called 6-6. So,
yeah.
Maybe I know ball, maybe I don't, but when I say things, it's accurate.
Yeah. Hey, if that helps you sleep at night, roll with it.
It does. I just like when people will be like, y'all said they were going to not win any games. It's like, well, no, we kind of nailed it, but
yeah, exactly. Kim says, Curtis and Andrew, who was your MVP?
Taylor, right?
Yeah. Taylor Green or Desmond James. But had he had 6 catches for, like he had the chunk plays there, it would be one of the two, but like Taylor was just, I thought he was toying
awesome,
with Texas Tech, dude. Yeah. He's just, he was really good tonight. So easy one there for me. Yes, Memphis won their bowl game, we were told. So that's good.
a lot of teams with positive momentum going to be facing off early in the season.
John says that it was a very pro Arkansas crowd and that the fans showed up well. 37,000 in attendance, I saw.
I would hope so, but yeah, good to see Arkansas fans get over there.
when they first went into like the broadcast, and it was like the up top view, it looked like an arena football game because the way they're doing like the construction and everything. So it looked like there was like 10 rows of bleachers and you couldn't even tell it was outside. I was like, where the hell are these guys playing this game? This is crazy, man. So anyway, SCT called me a cancer patient. That's nice. Yeah. Nice of you. We appreciate that. Thank you. I couldn't even imagine, if I tried to grow my hair out that long, eventually it would happen. I don't have a problem growing the hair. It's just chia pet, dude. Like, I think I would get a fro. I really do. Just kind of where I'm at.
I also just wouldn't recommend it. Like I really wouldn't. It's just not worth the hassle.
My dad, since he's retired now, and so he's like just the hell with getting a haircut or whatever, and he's like low key kind of rocking a fro. It's I think that's where I'd be headed if I continue to let this thing grow out. Maybe one day, not right now.
We need to like set a stipulation at some point. We can do that another day, but we need to set a stipulation where you will grow an afro if blank.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's fair. We'll come up with something good. It should probably be basketball related, I think.
For sure.
That we get going there. So, okay. I think that almost does it. However,
one last one, and then we're out of here.
Brian, we appreciate it. Says rumor has it we're going 9-3 next year. It's hard to be humble. If I tell you what, if Arkansas goes 9-3 with that schedule next year, give Sam Pittman another extension and raise brother. Yeah, I said it. I mean,
they'll get him a statue if they go 9-3.
Yeah,
that might be in the playoff. They literally might make the playoff if they go 9-3.
Mm-hmm. I mean, seriously.
Yeah,
or they
especially
would.
If one of those losses is Notre Dame, who's like a top 5 team or something like that. You lose to like Notre Dame, Texas, and.
Do you think Sam would do the Lane Kiffin, Shane Beamer stump if they were 9-3 about the playoffs? And then do you think he would subtweet like SMU and whoever the hell else is getting punked?
I don't know if he would tweet. I think he would just like give a few speeches about it, and he
would
you're
probably
well within your rights.
He would probably be closer to the Buzz Williams, like the 3-page handwritten speech that he would just give at a press conference. Maybe
that don't make no sense to me. I don't know. I think we got a good football team, but I don't know.
Oh man. HH says that I should grow a fro if Cal beats Kentucky. I picked Cal to beat Kentucky. So
I was like, that's a little like too doable.
Yeah. I mean, let's keep it in perspective here. Like, Kentucky's a good basketball team or whatever, but it's not a fro worthy situation.
And they're not that good. Let's be clear.
No, come on now. Arkansas is going to finish ahead of them in the SEC standings,
Love it.
Oh, man. Okay, anything else, Andrew, before we get out of here? Any final thoughts on this football season?
My final thought is Devin Bale was really freaking good tonight. Really freaking good. He needed this. He kind of dwindled down the stretch a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Evan Bale is going to be one of the top punters in the country going into next year.
What's the award that they give to the best punter?
Ray Guy Award.
There we go. In the running. At least a semifinalist, I think.
He's a guy.
He is a guy.
Here's a guy.
And also shout out to the Texas Tech punt returner for just fair catching on the 1.5 yard line, because I don't know why.
Anytime you can do that, you got to.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, yeah, I think we're done here. This was fun. Thanks, everybody. It's always good to end a season and win. In so many sports, you just don't get to do that. All teams besides the champion, it's usually their season ends in a loss, but not football, because you got the bowl games. So Arkansas is going to be one of a, fairly exclusive club to end their season and win. I don't know how many bowl games there are, but there you go.
Well, now that you have the playoff, it cuts down on that, because you have 11 of those teams who aren't going to finish their season with a win. So yeah, this is true. So there you have it. Arkansas 7-6 winning season, and a little bit of reason for optimism. It's good stuff. But appreciate everybody sincerely for tapping in with us the entire season, especially tonight. It's been a lot of fun. Make sure that you are subscribed to the Inside Arkansas YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. We would really, really appreciate you doing that. Check out InsideArkansas.com for all the written content, and we've got all our stuff over there as well. So for Andrew Ellis, it's been Curtis Wilkerson with the Pot of That Nature. We'll see you guys when we see you. Everybody have a good weekend. Appreciate you.